Okay, good day. Today I'm starting a new series of videos on my channel. This is something I wanted to do for a while, and it's kind of even the reason why I wanted to do a channel in the first place. Remember many years ago watching the video by Jan Gustafsson on his top 10 blunders in World Championship matches. He did this very soon after the sort of famous double blunder by Carlsen and Land of Game 6 of their match. And watching his video, I realised how little I knew about the World Championship matches, the history behind them, the important games, and even like the blunders and the impact the blunders had on, who actually became world champion in the end. So, as much as a history project as anything else, I've decided to do a more systematic assessment of the mistakes made in World Championship matches, over and above, for instance, the 10 which Jan did. Now, I admit this is a pretty mean thing to do. It's basically having fun at other people's expense in some ways. I mean, we understand as chess players you always make blunders, and obviously the pressure of World Championship matches is much higher, and occasionally people make blunders, so we'll sort of have a look at those. Now, first off, I just want to mention I've been inspired by a few other videos on this sort of topic, right? I mentioned the one by Jan Gustafsson. Robert Rees did one recently. My go-to chess YouTuber, Daniel King, he's done it differently. He did actually the whole game. I think he's done 5 so far. Hopefully he does some more. Going through the whole game, sort of opening, middle game, what's going on, all that sort of stuff, right? So above my skill level. So have a look at his ones if you're interested. And some of the other top streamers, Nakamura, Gotham, and Feingold, they've also done often similar things. Blunders by world champions, for instance, I think a couple of them have done. And that's a little bit different. It's not specifically World Championship matches. So they're able to sneak in other ones. I mean, Kramnik famously blundered mate in one of his games, and that often gets included. However, just for now, I'm just looking at the World Championship matches, so it'll be a little bit different. The other thing I want to try and do is a little bit more, systematic about the way to do it. Look at all the games, try and assess a number of criteria about the impact of the game and so on, and look at it from that perspective. It's still pretty subjective, but I just want to try and do it a bit more systematically. Okay, so just have a look. We all know about blunders. It's a bit funny in some ways. Here's a great quote by Tadakawa. Blunders are there, all on the board, waiting to be made. He's got quite a lot of good quotes, this guy. There's a picture of him from Wikipedia. So I just outline how I've sort of gone about finding the blunders and then looking at them. So I needed to create a database of all the World Championship chess matches. I've made some sort of executive decisions. I haven't included the FIDE ones. I might add them back in later. And I've ignored the rapid play tie breaks, which we've had in more recent times. So I think I got most of them from PG Mentor. However, you don't need to do that. You can do, you look at Casabase, that has it as well, right? And then you just go through and search for things. Now, I ended up with 1,055 games, may or may not be the right amount. And the next step to do is to run an analysis of all the games at a certain level. So if you've looked at my videos on open source software, if you get Stockfish loaded up, I think I used ChessX for this, just to run through all the games. You could use Skid versus PC, which I've done a video about, to run through all the games. And what I'm doing there is storing the eval at a certain depth. I've used about 22 or 25 ply for this analysis. I mean, if it's not showing up that level, then it's obviously not a blunder. So that took a little while to run through all the World Championship games. So then I now have basically a big database which I export as a PGN file of all the World Championship chess matches with an eval at every point in the game. So now the question is, I have to start looking through that. And what I did, just give me a sec here. I used the script I wrote, and I used another one of the open source packages, Python Chess, which is in Python, obviously. And what I did is just step through all the games and then look for a certain level of blunder based on the eval. Now, what I did is, as a first run, I just did it with, how many centipawns. I put 500 in. You get plenty of games with 500 level blunder, which is kind of surprising. Not so much in recent times. And it's obviously something I can play around with later. I mean, a 500-point blunder is losing a rook, and obviously other things going on. So that's what I did. I put in a few ones, like I'm just going to example. I'm going to show you one game today, which actually isn't a 500-point blunder, but it just gives you a good sense of what I've been doing. Now that if you think of that definition of blunder, then it's not going to include Fischer's bishop takes h2. It may not have even been a blunder, although obviously lost the game. And then just we'll go through this as I go through the games. And as I say, I try to be a little bit systematic. So what I'm trying to do, once you've determined a game with a blunder, then what impact did it had. So I've sort of looked at a few criteria. What impacted on the game? Like a win to a loss or loss to win is obviously the biggest impact, but then a draw to a loss is not quite as bad. And then I said, well, what impact did it have on the overall match, right? If the match is kind of a whitewash, and then a blunder here or there probably doesn't have much impact on the match. And then obviously the magnitude of the blunder, mate is worse than losing a piece. And the other thing is then a couple of other ones, which like, was it a double mistake, which actually has happened a few times for both players. And then that sort of a very subjective one, was it obvious, right? We'll get on to one which is obvious in a few videos' time, and you'll see what I get for that. And basically, I come up with the scoring criteria, 1 star, 2 star, up to 5 stars. And actually, there's one 6-star game, which maybe you'd be able to guess. So that's kind of the way we're looking at it. And I decided, well, I'll do it in chronological order. I don't know if that's the best way of doing it. So that'll give you a sense of where we're going. So let's just go on to one game. I'm going to do one game today, just for interest of time. This is a bit of a sort of a preamble, just to get a sense of what we're going to be looking at over a number of videos. Okay, so here I am. I'm in Skid versus PC. Sorry about that. I lost my little graphs. Let me bring graphs back up. So that's annoying. The graphs disappear. Okay, fine. So make them stay on top somehow. Just looking at here. So here's the game. Now, what we got there is I've got two charts there, which I'm probably going to have to close because it doesn't look like it wants them to stay up there. The first chart at the top is the actual game we're going to look at. We're going to look at Game 4, 1886 World Championship between Steinitz and Zukertort. And you can see there's a blunder there on about move 37, which is the red dot. There's a couple of lines on that chart. One of them is the eval, that's the blue line. You can see it's fairly flat all the way through, and then suddenly collapses, right? The green thing is the change in the eval. So you can see it's a fairly steady game, this actually. No particular problems all the way through until that blunder. And the orange one is just the material balance. So you can see those spikes down. That's when the first spike down to 300 is when a piece was exchanged, and another spike down to 500 is when a rook was exchanged. So that's just there for informational purposes. Doesn't really show anything. You can see this is the picture of the game. So this blunder obviously affected the outcome of the game. It was going to be a draw. Steinitz blundered and he lost. And then on the bottom chart, you can see this is the game, the actual sort of the match score. Now there's the dotted lines, which are the ones where you include a half a point for a draw. So that would be the sort of the more typical way recent World Championship matches have been done, certain number of games, and whoever's winning at the end. Whereas actually this game was the first player to 10 wins. So that's the solid lines. Green line is Zukertort, who actually got to 5 wins at the end, and the red one is Steinitz, who actually got up to 10 wins at the end, right? And when he got a 10th win, that was the end of the match, right? And you can see it was pretty close to the start, but then the whole story about Zukertort, is ill health or got worn out or whatever the case may be, and Steinitz trounced him in the second half of the match. Okay, so just going to adjust something here, because as soon as I click on Skid, those charts are going to disappear. Right, here we are. I am going to move quickly forwards to where the blunder actually happened. I'll just do the couple of moves beforehand, right? So Bishop d7 has just been played, and then Steinitz played Queen f3. Now this is we'll come back to this position. It's setting up a little threat, and actually Zukertort dealt with it by playing Bishop e8. We will now, and then I say the blunder, this is the blunder. Steinitz takes the, it's a bit weird. Is the knight going to make it there? Well, maybe not. Okay, so just spend a couple of minutes looking at the position if you like. Pause the video. That was a blunder. Previous chart, basically blunders a piece. And so let's see what happens in the rest of the game now. So Zukertort takes the piece. Now let me just go back there. So let's have a look at what's going on in this position. So Steinitz thinks there's a pin down this diagonal. So he thought the pawn was pinned, right? But there's a couple of other things going on here. There's also a pin on the D file as well, right? Because if you look at it, white has back rank problems, and so in a sense, when the pawn takes, the rooks are attacking one another. And the other thing to point out is that at the moment the black queen is undefended. Okay, so that's good. So let's see how this goes, right? So anyway, Zukertort took, take, right? So if white took the queen, well, it's going to be checkmate. So can't do that, right? So the next thing to do is what was played in the game. Just took the rook, okay, and then now black takes back with the knight, and look at that. The knight's now protecting the queen. Now maybe that's what Steinitz missed. So he's just down a piece. He plays one more move, queen e2. I mean, obviously he's protecting the bishop. Zukertort protects it. And that's it. Right? Because now just a piece down, the black queen is attacking this square here. So it has to hold on to that. Can't really take this pawn because of that. It's just a terrible position, and white actually resigned. Okay, so there we go. That's the first of the blunders. As I say, it didn't really have a big impact on that match overall because Steinitz was in the end quite an easy victor overall. But I hope you found that interesting, and thank you for watching.